go ahead and get started. So I just want to quickly read a little bit of info about Plug Projects to get the ball rolling. Plug, formerly known as Plug Projects, is a curatorial collaboration from 5 Kansas City artists. Ariana Chaivaranon, please correct me. Thank you.
Chaivaranon?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, she's here. Okay.
Perfect. I knew I was going to butcher that right out the gate. I apologize. CJ Charbonneau, Clara Hutchison, Melanie Johnson, and Marco Rosichelli, who share the mission of bringing fresh perspectives and conversation to the local cultural community. Our goal is to engage artists and the public at large by exhibiting challenging new work, initiating critical dialogue, and expanding connection of artists in Kansas City as part of a wider national network of artists. I'm going to leave it at that and let the 3 of you enjoy the rest of the morning with our guests here. So please go ahead, jump in. It looks like we have a presentation, and I'm eager to hear from you all and see what's coming down the pipe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Marissa. I don't know, not much of a presentation per se. I just have a few pictures to share. And as Marissa said, we have you encapsulated my first paragraph of comments. So thank you. You know who we are. Plug started about 10 years ago as Plug Projects, and until last year existed on Genesee in the West Bottoms. Last year during the pandemic, several things happened. There was a complete turnover of the cohort. All the outgoing members exited and new people came in. There were originally 7, 8, I think it was 8, and a few immediately exited. So we have 5. And so also there was somewhat of a financial crisis related to the pandemic, the changeover, etc. And it became necessary for us to give up the space. And they had another tenant who wanted the space, so it just kind of worked out. But so over the last year, we've been reinventing ourselves. The previous cohort started the process of transitioning to a 501c3 nonprofit. And after kind of settling in, we were able to complete that transition. And part of that required a name change, which is why we are Plug now. You can't be a for-profit business and then become a nonprofit business. The IRS kind of frowns on that. So that's how we became Plug. We rebranded, did some strategic planning, wrote a business plan, just generally, trying to figure out if or how we were going to make our way forward. And, the community showed up for us. We launched a very successful fundraising campaign last fall, and that ensured our immediate survival and enabled us to find a new space. Agnes Arts is a newish project that involves a group of investors led by Paul Miliazzo, formerly of Kuhnstrom, if you're familiar with that old building on Oak. For almost 2 years, they've been rehabbing a former police facility to make affordable artist studio space on the east side of downtown. This is right off of Truman Road near the Grove Park, if you know where that is. Part of their vision was always a dedicated gallery space. And one of the partners, Davin Watney, was someone that a couple of us were already familiar with. And he was reaching out to several similar groups to see if anyone was interested. And this happened to be right when we were investigating possible spaces. So it just all worked out, and they hadn't even started building out the gallery space yet. So the timing was perfect. We were able to express what we wanted, what we needed in a space. And I think that they did a really good job of honoring that as much as they could. So we took possession of the space in May. This is like the original footprint of the dedicated gallery space. It was just cinder block and open spaces. and this is some more work in progress. And, you know, it's just beautiful. We have high walls, open ceilings. It just opens up the possibility for so many different kinds of programming, so many different kinds of work, because we also have the opportunity to access and activate the surrounding space outside of the gallery, because the building is huge and there will be a lot of public areas, a foyer, unfinished space that they've expressed willingness for us to kind of just run with it and propose all kinds of things to make that work. Outside, there's a lot of outdoor space. There's an adjacent parking lot, and the building is at the end of a dead-end street, so there is a bit of green space. And we've also spoken to the landlords about the possibility of mural projects. And these are some shots of the outside of the building. As you can see, it's gigantic. And there is a back wall that faces I-70 that we're investigating the possibility of a community mural project. So stay tuned. But for starters, we put out a call for local solos that ended May 31st, and we're evaluating those proposals, and we will be notifying applicants very soon. Watch your email. The hope is that we'll have our first show in the space after the 4th of July holiday. And thanks to some successful fundraising, we're happy to say that we're able to offer stipends to participating artists, which is such a big thing. It was always really important to us that we could support local artists and keep putting some of that money back out into the community. So really, really happy that we're able to do that. And a grand opening will be postponed until we can have a better idea of the feasibility of larger events, because we do want to do something really big to announce our presence in the neighborhood and bring all the artist community out to see it. But in the meantime, we will have shows, probably limited hours and appointment only. But we want to just let everyone know that we're open, we're receptive. We want to hear from you what you want to see in the space. Pitch us ideas for programming, for shows, for, you know, anything and everything. We're ready to hear from you. That's about all I have. I'd love to hear questions or concerns, whatever.
That was great, CJ. Thank you.
I was going to say, I had a thought. I don't know how, well, I do social media. I'm a content creator and I specialize in home improvement and DIY projects. And just thinking about the facility that you guys have and the presence of art, I think it would be something nice if there was, you know, a relationship was forged with content creators to use it as studio space to, as the, you know, the art as the background for photographers and whatnot. I don't know if that would interest you all, but I think that would be a neat concept and it would generate additional income.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's certainly something that we could discuss, and I should probably go back to the first slide is our information and our website, which has, I should have included it's info@plug.gallery is our email. If anybody wants to reach out to us with any suggestions or questions.
And Robin, also the Agnes Arts organization that's running the building also has spaces for rent in the building for private studios and sort of community spaces. So there is some of that already, you know, happening. That's you know, next door to us, but not run by us.
Thanks. That's a good point. They are offering affordable studio space, I think anywhere from $150 a month to $450 and up. There's a variety of sizes of spaces, and yes, that Marco's right. There will be opportunity for rentals, and that would also be a resource to as they're filling the spaces and you know, not at capacity. Maybe that is something that they would like to explore as well.
CJ, Marco, anybody else that's over that direction, how do people get in touch with the folks at the Agnes Arts Center to pursue any interest?
I think, you know, if someone wanted contact info, you could just reach out to us at Plug and we could forward information along. We'd be happy to do that.
Right. I'm not sure if they have. I'll need to check with Davin, but I know they were working on an online presence in terms of like an online application for studios and someone to reach out to for more information, but I'm not 100% sure who the right person would be. So yeah, I think that would be best to, if somebody wants to check in with us, we can forward it on.
Then there's a question in the chat box, wondering if Agnes Art is providing support for the shows, given what you guys are bringing to their spaces.
Support, I guess that depends on what you're referring to as far as support. We're doing cross promotion of our mutual interests. I guess once things are really up and going with Agnes Arts, you know, they will continue to promote what we're doing as well as the other way around, but I can't speak to exactly what their plans might be beyond that.
Great, thank you.
Can you kind of explain this a little more? You're saying Agnes Arts is kind of an umbrella. Is that the umbrella group that Plug is under, or are you all separate? You just happen to be in the same building?
We are separate. There are landlords. So Agnes Arts is the official entity, the name of the, I guess, the investor group that purchased this building and are rehabbing it for artist studios, but they are entirely separate from Plug. That was something that was clear. We made clear from the beginning. We are independent of that group. We are simply renting a space from them. But that's not to say that there won't be, you know, cross collaboration or something, but it's, yeah, we're not under that umbrella. So
I see. And
good question.
Jay, I've been back in Kansas City for a while, 20 plus years. And can you tell me what you and Marco, what your backgrounds are, and where you, what got you interested in this? And I mean, I'm assuming you have art backgrounds and that kind of thing. So.
Oh, sure. That's a great question. Marco, would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah. So I am a professor and foundations coordinator in the art department at the University of Central Missouri in Warrensburg. So I live in Kansas City and commute out there. What brought me to the area? I moved here from Seattle. So I grew up on the West Coast. Did my undergrad over there. Grad school in Arizona. So my background is in sculpture, but I mostly make conceptual artwork. And I applied to be a board member of Plug because they were a really great entity when I moved to town at cold reaching out to me and saying, hey, we heard you moved to town. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And that led to me doing a critique night, which is something they've historically done. And we've talked about continuing in the space. And then that eventually led to me having an exhibition at Plug. So they were just a really great welcoming body when I moved to town. And so when I saw the call for a board member, I was like, man, I'd really like to be involved and like help out and pay some of that back. So Ariana is also here from Plug. So maybe Ariana, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I moved to Kansas City about 2 years ago to take a role as an interpretive planner at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. I was born in Thailand and grew up sort of between Thailand and the East Coast, mostly around Washington, D.C., and have worked in museums up and down the East Coast, really came to Kansas City, excited to think through what it means to serve a local audience, because a lot of the organizations in Washington, D.C. purport to serve a national audience without having too much of an awareness of the Midwest and the local public here. So I was really excited to serve a more local public, to really build more sustained connections with folks over time, with repeat visitors as opposed to more itinerant audiences. And got involved with Plug through showing in a group show that myself, Marco, and Mary Clara, who isn't here today, but we all actually showed together. That was one of Plug's final shows before they then opened up the application to the board process. So my work, as an artist is between painting, sculpture, printmaking, and deeply informed by my research practice in art history and theory. So it felt like a really wonderful opportunity to get involved with folks here in a space that wouldn't really be possible in Washington, D.C. because of financial limitations.
Right, yeah.
Right. And we have two other board members who are not able to be here today, but Mary Clara Hutchison is also an artist, and she works for the Rabbit Hole in North KC, and she's originally from Kansas City and been involved in a lot of different things over the years. And Melanie Johnson is also at UCM with Marco. You guys co-teach foundations, or?
We used to. She is now the head of the painting drawing area. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then I am originally from Kansas City, but we're gone many years, came back about 9 years ago. I am primarily a writer and a curator, but have been pretty deeply involved in the arts community since returning to the area. I have a strong interest in connecting and facilitating and supporting artistic development in the area. And so, like the others, when the call went out for board members, it just seemed like a natural opportunity for me to continue that sort of work. And we've had our ups and downs with the weird transition and the pandemic and everything, but I think it's really been so gratifying to be able to sort of reinvent this and shepherd it into this new phase. And I think we're all just tremendously excited for what's going to happen in the future.
I have one more question. Will you have a regular season of exhibition, or is that in the works, or do you have any idea of what you're planning?
Well, yeah, as we said before, we had an open call for local solos, which is what we will start with.
Totally. Totally.
I'm sorry. Well, it ended May 31st.
Where did you place that? I'm just curious.
Gosh, everywhere.
ACAC shared it in our weekly emails. So yeah, once they send it over to us, it was in our weekly emails for those of you that get it or don't, let us know. We can get you signed up onto the constant contact email list. But yeah, we pushed it out for several weeks in our emails and on social.
Same.
Others did too. So
Yeah, and if you're not following our email, you can well, you can go to our website and sign up for the regular MailChimp newsletters, and everything plug goes out that way, but also on Instagram and Facebook is also someplace where we share all those things. And I think we sent a pressing to Blair for his new Midwest agenda, and I think Informality shared it. But yeah, I would say if you want to follow us on the socials, that's probably the easiest way to find some of that information. But we'll have all the slots for solo shows. We'll be notifying people soon. That's been worked out, but there will be other programming coming down the line.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Do you know what your, have you guys discussed what your policy is for like coming back to in-person programming? Like if you're looking for people to reach out for programming ideas, is that going to be virtual, or do you see that happening in the gallery?
I think we're looking at in-person things at this point. What the scope of that will be, I think is yet to be determined, but we're welcoming pitches, suggestions, ideas. I know there's been a lot of interest expressed in a return to the crit nights, which I would love to see happening again. Whatever else, I guess, like the grand opening, we're just kind of waiting to see what the feasibility of those things are. But if Charlotte Street's grand opening last night is any indication, I think people are ready. People are ready to show up and get out there and see stuff. So I hope we'll be making a fuller return to normal.
Well, that's a great sign. Any way that we as KCAC can help spread the word about you guys seeking programming, just send that info my way wherever I can direct people to let them know that you guys are seeking ideas for that. Please keep us in the know. We'd love to help.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca. I'm not new to the coffee chats, but I am kind of a new artist in the Kansas City art scene. And I just want to say, CJ, Marco, and Ariana, thank you so much for being here. This is just really helpful to see, even at the beginning stages, how Plug is, getting the word out. So you guys are open from today, 12 to 5, is that correct?
No, that's Charlotte Street Foundation.
Oh, that's okay, Charlotte Street. So is anyone at the facility today, or?
No, we're open, but we as we don't have anything up yet, we're still working out our exhibition schedule and painting and things. I should say we are available by appointment if anyone wants to email info@plug.gallery or reach out on the socials. We can certainly see about, if someone wants to come by for a tour or anything. We've been doing a lot of that, but we don't have regular hours at this point, and I'm not sure when, that's part of that whole public opening that we're still working out.
There's still a few logistical things happening on the building. Our landlord, or Agnes Arts, is still finishing a few perimeter things on the building. So we're sort of waiting for that to get done before we start scheduling our own hours. So, but it should be soon, I would imagine. CJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably within the next few weeks to a month at most. Yeah.
Right. There's been some logistical things about the entry that I think are getting worked out, and I'm hopeful that will be the case. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have maybe what's more of a specific question to my circumstance, but CJ, you mentioned that you really love to facilitate and help make connections and support local artists. So it sounds like you're the perfect person to ask. I'm an artist based in Creighton, Missouri. So Kansas City is definitely the most close metropolitan hub. And to show my work down here in more rural Missouri, I've just been collaborating with coffee shops and breweries down here to get stuff up in the space. But I was wondering if there was any advice you would give, or any, I mean, obviously Plug sounds like a resource now, but I want to get more of my work up into spaces in Kansas City. But since I wasn't necessarily trained or went to school as an artist, I got my master's in architecture and product design. So I'm kind of coming in it from a weird direction. But is there any advice, or what resources should I really be taking advantage of? Obviously KCAC, but to try and get more involved in the Kansas City art scene whenever I am so like in the rural Midwest?
You know, Kansas City Artists Coalition would be my first suggestion of the place to go, because they do offer so much support to artists at all different stages of their careers, and they're so fabulous about keeping the flow of information out there to as many people as possible. If you're speaking of suggestions to get involved here in the Kansas City scene, it's, you know, 2 years ago, I could have told you right off the top of my head, things are so shut down still. I think things are opening back up, but there are, you know, there's a lot that still needs to happen before that's 100% happening. But I think just getting out, meeting people, being at shows, and introducing yourself to people. I used to, for the last 5 years, I had a monthly meetup for women artists for networking, and I hope that we will be able to return to in-person meetings at some point. But right now, I'm just not sure when that's going to happen. But those kind of events where you can come and meet people and see what other people are doing, that's always, in my opinion, going to be the best way that you move yourself forward.
Of course, yeah, thank you for that. As far as the crit nights, I can kind of imagine what a crit night is, but you and Marco brought up that that's something that you would love to have in the space. What is the format for a crit night as explained to a totally new artist?
Marco?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I can speak about it the way my understanding of the way, you know, my experience from it, or the Plug historically has done it. And we might change that up a little bit, but you know, so what happened is they would invite a artist or two, I think it was local artists, to come in and do like a temporary setup. So in my case, they had me come in and they gave me a little bit of wall space. You know, they moved up, you know, it was like an exhibition was happening when I was there, but, you know, there's just like, you know, bring 3 or 4 little pieces or something you're working on or something you want feedback on. And then it was hosted by a local arts person. And so they sort of directed the critique night. It was open for the public. So I think when I was there was, I don't know, 50 or 60 or 75 people there. It was pretty full. And so, you know, I gave a little 5-minute introduction to my work, and, you know, sort of posed some questions, and then I was just you know, fielding Q&A from the audience, critiquing the work, talking about the work. So I would say it seemed like the members of Plug kind of took a little bit of a backseat and allowed the audience to mostly do the critique night. So it wasn't like Plug members were critiquing me while others were watching. It felt more holistic and a community event. And so that's how it's been done in the past. Yeah. And then I think they would do 2 or maybe 3 artists in an evening. So maybe the whole evening would last 2 or 3 hours long, you know, with a few breaks and some refreshments. So it was great. It was a great experience.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, that sounds like, and also like a great way to get feedback on work before it's like the polishing touches are all put on everything. Yeah. And when I was there, like, you know, you could sort of direct that feedback in a way you wanted, whether that was like technical considerations or related to formal concerns, or if you were working through ideas. It was just a lot of different ways you could like sort of funnel the feedback so it's useful to you. Yeah.
I can remember going to a couple of them where people were very explicit even in the beginning about, here's what I'm trying to do, here's what I want to do, this is where I need suggestions or feedback, or, so it can be really constructive. We have a great foyer area in that building when you first come in, before you get to the entrance of the gallery, that I think would allow us to do that sort of thing without even disrupting a show in the gallery. And there's a lot of room to be, to congregate in that area. So I'm excited for that possibility. I think it's another great way to meet other people too and get your work with them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I think a little bit like, Plug cold contacted me and said, we'd love to have you for this critique night. I just moved to town. So I was just like, oh, sure. I don't even know what your space is. But I think they also were, and I think we probably will be too, we're welcoming for people just to email and say, hey, can I get on the wait list to be at a critique night? So.
Right.
Then I will definitely be doing that.
Other questions? I'll say the Agnes space, the developer that's working on it has probably only developed, I don't know, CJ, what would you say, 20% of the building or something at this point? So there's a lot of room for growth. And so he's talked to us about a lot of ideas. There's room for Plug to grow. So we sort of have eyes on like future space that, potentially how the programming goes and our fundraising goes, that maybe we'd like the space to grow. But there's also a lot of raw space that's available for like temporary things, and the owner of the building, Paul, seems open and willing to have conversations around that too. So, evening openings where we spread out a little bit more into the building is, I think, also a possibility.
Right. And I think they're really open partly because, bringing more people into that space to see what is possible and what they have to offer, which is honestly really great what they have to offer, is going to be mutually beneficial. But I agree. I think that they're very open to people popping by to see what there is and proposing alternative uses while it's a work in progress. And that's always kind of exciting.
Well, and they did a really nice job on the studios. They're
awesome.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
It's going to be very polished and very, if for those of you who would be familiar with Kunstrom, his last project, it's, it's way above that in terms of the polish and the accessibility and, the size of the studios, and some of them have windows, and, the parking's much better. There's a lot to recommend it, I think.
And Rebecca, that something like that might not be feasible considering the distance, but like having a space to make amongst other artists, I think is really generative tool to like meet others and get feedback like ongoing. So, maybe there's a possibility you can make something like that happen for yourself.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you guys mentioned that you're probably the best contact right now to reach out to you via email and maybe.
And I noticed KCAC just put in the information for Agnes Arts, so there's a link there for the contact or apply for studio space. But
okay.
You can also reach out to us too.
Okay.
Yeah, Don Wilkinson threw in the website for Agnes Arts, and then to apply for a studio, link down there. So thank you.
I wasn't aware it was up and running yet. That's good to know.
I appreciate that. I don't know where he found it, but awesome.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, any other questions or ideas for the folks over at Plug? I think this has been really interesting and exciting.
I don't have a question necessarily specifically for Plug, but if there's no other questions, I do have a question for KCAC. I was looking on your website about your memberships, like the different tiers of membership, and I was wondering if you guys could just briefly describe like the difference. I know you do all KCAC members. Sometimes you do group shows where it's like a small piece, but everybody in KCAC will put a piece in your gallery. Is that available at like your first tier, or is that more like a second or third tier up?
So the only major difference between membership levels is the work of art program. And so that's at the amplified level, which is the $100 level. Everything else is available to all members at the student or individual levels. So basically, the only reason that that next tier goes up to $100 is because it's a pretty robust program that runs annually, or it runs all year long. And we would like to pay our speakers for their information and expertise. So that's that next level for professional development work, classes on how to essentially make your art and career a successful business, which some of us either didn't have access or resources to those in our education, in terms of like academics or whatnot, or they're just not as fun to pursue. So we haven't really jumped deep into those, but they are important skill sets. But otherwise, all of our additional kind of like ancillary perks of membership are available at all levels. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, super helpful. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, very good. Marco or Ariana or CJ, is there anything else you'd like to add that you feel like maybe you missed or want to?
Ariana, is there anything else you want to share?
No, not right now. Thanks.
I just, we're really excited. We've spent the last, I don't know, week or so going through calls, and there's been so many wonderful applicants and so many artists that we're excited about. Way more than we could feasibly show. So it's been a little bit of a tough challenge to kind of go through everything. And, this sort of interim program that we're doing at hopefully the tail end of COVID here, hopefully we'll branch out to bigger events, more in-person things. We've talked about doing sort of community outreach things. Yeah. We've talked about just closing off, the sort of street outside of the building and maybe doing food trucks and having bigger art events, involving Agnes Arts. So we have a lot of things that we're excited about, that we're just, sort of like patiently waiting until things feel appropriate, I would say.
Yeah. And there's so many possibilities. It's just, it's the kind of thing that keeps you up at night in a good way.
Yeah, definitely.
This is very exciting. I can't wait to get over and see the space in real life. The photos are killer. So you're saying that the plan is to have exhibitions open in in July?
Yeah.
That's the hope. Yeah.
Yeah. So here in the next few days, we'll be reaching out to artists and sort of scheduling that, getting some things installed and scheduling out through the rest of the year, exhibitions. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yay.
Yeah, how wonderful. And now do you have any ability to let us know if primarily the applicants or the awardees are going to be local or regional or national? I know that in the past Plug has brought in national artists. That's the reason I asked.
Yeah, Plug historically, I think, started, and CJ, tell me if I'm wrong here, but started with, reaching out to artists farther than local. And then they started doing that space up front that was like a local space. We, just because so much of the community support when we were making the change and fundraising came from local, we thought it was really important to support local artists. So we're starting there. And that's, we felt that was important to do. So
right. And logistically with travel and with everything still somewhat restricted, it certainly makes more sense from a practical standpoint But yes, as Marco said, number one priority, let's help the local peeps. And it was the local peeps that,
Helped
got
us.
us to this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great to have the opportunity to give some of that back. And
Well, I think all of our calls were local, like if not immediate local, were with really close regionally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we were pretty specific on the call, but because we want to, as I told a couple of people from out of town who applied, we want to put those resources towards paying an artist, putting that money back in their pocket versus paying for, shipping and travel and things like that. It's just not time for that yet.
That's fantastic. I'm very excited.
Well, I know that I really appreciate you guys focusing on the local artist. I mean, I think that it's, even though there's a lot of places to show and there's a lot of places to see art, it's still, there's so many artists in Kansas City. It's so very competitive and just so difficult to find places where you can show your work. And yeah, it gets extremely expensive to ship your work. And sometimes, I make things that I could never afford to ship, they're just way too big, so I think that, I know I was really excited. I didn't even realize you all had been here, even though I've known you for a while, CJ. So I think it's great. And I hope that it can remain a local sort of focus. I think it would be really nice if that's a possibility. I realize that it always isn't, but anyway.
When I think sometimes it benefits, it can be of great benefit to the local ecosystem to have an exchange or to bring in someone that can facilitate a little bit different conversation, bring a different point of view. And I think that only adds to the flavor of what's happening locally.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We have about 8 minutes left. If there are any additional questions for Plug, throw them either in the chat if you don't want to speak up, or unmute yourself and feel free to throw anything in. But in the meantime, Ariana, CJ, Marco, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having us.
I so appreciate just kind of the sharing of information. I'm so excited for the direction you guys are headed. And yeah, I will, I think maybe Robin was jumping in, so I'll be quiet.
Just wanted to say that, even though this isn't my typical scene, I really appreciated the conversation. I found it extremely interesting, and I look forward to seeing more of what you all are going to put into place. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any last words for Plug or about your work? Anything coming up that you want to share with us?
I was just going to say that thank you. It was so good to virtually meet you, CJ, Ariana, and Marco. Thanks for sharing with us what you guys are up to.
And good luck to you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Got some shy folks today. Or maybe just not caffeinated yet.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you for sharing. I didn't know exactly what Plug was, about, and now I know. And so that's nice. And it's nice to learn about the Agnes Center and something new that is.
Well, and people are always welcome to reach out to us outside of here if you have questions that you don't want to express publicly or whatever.
Okay.
Have our contact info.
Or if you'd like to see the space, let us know.
Well, I was hoping to go by Charlotte Street today because I wanted to see the new space, and so I was planning on going by a little later.
Yeah, and we're excited to show whoever, we've had a great time showing people around who've popped in or just reached out. I know Don was there a couple of weeks ago, was popping in for something else and got a chance to show him around and talk about what we were doing. And so sometimes it just happens organically, but
Do you know
yeah.
what time you'll be there today?
Well, I won't be at the plug space today. I'll be at Charlotte Street
Yeah, I
today,
meant Charlotte Street.
probably
Yeah.
after 12. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
not sure how long I'm gonna be there. I was there all night last night, but yeah, they're there till 5, so I'll probably be in my studio at least a couple of hours. So
Okay, I'm gonna try stop in.
yeah, it's been a minute, Shelley.
Yeah.
I do have a question. How many submissions did you all get for that call that ended on May 31st?
Gosh, almost 60,
Wow.
or
that's a lot.
basically seven slots. So yeah, it was a tough,
Yeah.
you know, and then you've got five people and, you know, weighing in on different aspects. It was, I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's, we got a lot of really great proposals, but it's a tough to decide when you have that many good choices.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking your time today and joining us. We have been recording this, so we will be sure to get it all posted up on our YouTube channels and on our website. And I'm happy to share it too with anybody from Plug if you'd like to have access to the file.
Awesome. Thanks.
To put somewhere where you guys can utilize it too. But that we are kind of rounding out the hour, so I'm going to be respectful of everybody's time. So happy Saturday. Thank you everybody so much. And I look forward to seeing the future of Plug in person and all the other wonderful, amazing arts things that are happening around the city. Very exciting.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great Saturday weekend. Stay cool.
You.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.